Good to have you back with us on Ed Schultz News and Commentary. The city of Chicago is in turmoil, and it shouldn't be. If you look at the leadership of Chicago, Rahm Emanuel, he's the mayor. He's been around the block. Longtime Clinton associate, spent a lot of years in the House of Representatives, chief of staff for Barack Obama. He knows how to do this. But has he been disconnected from the common folk? I believe he has. We covered a story when I was doing a cable show several years ago about how the city of Chicago was going to shut down 50 neighborhood schools because basically they didn't have the money. Rahm Emanuel has been at odds with the teachers union, and it's just been a volcano ever since that. And I said at the time, when you start picking and choosing neighborhoods, you're going to have civil unrest. You're going to have a lot of people who feel like they're getting picked on. And not every school district was getting the resources. Not every school was getting the resources. And what do you think's going to happen? The public's going to turn on you, but it's also going to put every move you make under a microscope. Then, of course, with all of the shootings and gun violence and drug use in the city of Chicago, it's just out of his control. Well, now the people have had enough. And it all came to fruition when Laquan McDonald, 17-year-old, was shot multiple times by a Chicago police officer who, by the way, is out on bail. And that video was not surfaced during his re-election campaign. And the public is sitting there thinking, well, gosh, if that video had come out, maybe we'd have a different mayor right now. Is it manipulation? So now there is legislative action taking place in the state of Illinois where the citizens of Chicago would have a mechanism to recall the mayor, Rahm Emanuel. And spearheading this is Shawn Ford, who's an Illinois state rep, and he joins us on Ed Schultz News and Commentary. LaShawn, good to have you with us.
Oh, my goodness. Good morning. You have really laid it out, and I'm telling you, your words have really touched my heart because that's it. That's everything. I just agree with everything that you said.
When you start picking and choosing neighborhoods, you signal that some people are more important than others. And what Rahm Emanuel should have done with all of his political experience, his connections with the president, his connections with the Clinton Foundation, his connections in the House, he should have gone to the federal government and say, if we can't save Chicago, we can't save any city in America. He could have used the bully pulpit. He could have done, but instead what he did was he decided, well, we're going to shut this school down and we're going to shut this school down. We're going to kick this neighborhood under the bus. And these people don't have any money. They don't have any political power. So we're going to be able to get away with this. Play cut 10 here. And the guy has the audacity to come out and say that he is the voice of the powerless. Listen to this.
My voice is supposed to be for those who are powerless to make sure that their voice matters as much as those who are in power or have power. And we were
what a phony! The man is a total phony. He never stood up for these communities that needed resources to keep their schools open. What he needed to do was go get federal money. He never attempted to do that. Now, I'm on my pedestal. Mr. Ford, you got to lay this out for us. If I'm wrong, you got to tell us.
You know what? I got to tell you, your words are making me tear up because it hurts to hear it like that because it's so true. And when Rahm ran the first time, I did not support him. And my words in my heart, I was thinking, you know what, even if I don't support him, I know he's going to win, and we should be okay because he's directly connected to the White House. He knows all the business people. He knows Hollywood. He's got every connection. We should be in good shape with this guy. And that's what I thought, too. Even though I didn't trust that would happen, I still believe that if you have the majority of the people voting for him, then I'm wrong. The majority is right. And I said, well, we got him. We should be in good shape.
Well, he sure had the resources to go get millions of dollars to get reelected, but he didn't have the resources to go save Chicago schools and divide up neighborhoods. This is the root of the problem. All right. Tell us about this. Tell us about this mechanism that is going to be in place to recall the mayor, and is it going to happen?
So we have the bill to recall the mayor of the city of Chicago, and it can happen. You know, we don't go back to Springfield until January 13th, but the fact is there's still the possibility of a special session because we have a budget that we have to enact, and there's a possibility that we could work out a deal and have a budget. Or if there's so much civil unrest, there could be a special session to deal with a recall and to put it on fast track the way we fast track the recall bill for Blagojevich time. And so I do believe that if the citizens of Chicago, if the people of Chicago really, really want a recall, they can get it.
Do you think there's enough people that are dissatisfied with his performance and his direction as mayor that this recall could happen? I mean, if it were up for a vote, would he lose?
You know, right now I have to tell the protesters and all of the advocates that their work is great. They're showing the world how to protest and the great way to get things done, but we need more. There are a lot of people that's unemployed in the city. There are a lot of people that's not getting the contracts and the jobs in the city. Only cronies are getting them of special people. And so all those people that feel that they have been shut out, they should join this movement to recall the mayor of the city of Chicago because they're never going to get a shot at it as long as this guy is in.
Another root of the problem is that his attitude towards the teachers union. He's taken a real hard right-wing conservative approach towards voices in the workplace. And he has diminished the teachers as if they're not professionals. He's taken personal shots at them. He's been somewhat elementary in his approach to try to resolve the problems with the teachers unions. Your thoughts on that?
Yeah, and that tells you why we have the problem of the crime constantly going up in the city, because his focus is not to make sure that we have a quality first-class education for every neighborhood in Chicago. And so when you leave people out, like you said, disregarding certain communities, you're either going to educate people so that they could go to work, or you're going to disenfranchise them so that they could be criminals and go to jail. And he's made a choice to disenfranchise certain communities, and that's a problem.
Well, it's the problems have multiplied, and this civil unrest isn't going to go away anytime soon. These protesters obviously are energized. They want change. They want fairness. And now that this proposal is in place at the Illinois legislative level by your leadership, and I point out that you are a Democrat, so this crosses all party lines. This is about people. This is about fairness. This is about equal opportunity and resources. And the country needs to watch this story, because this is what bad leadership does. This is what happens when you go down the road of charter schools and think that somebody's going to walk in and wave a magic wand and all of a sudden we're going to have nothing but charter schools for profit and everything's going to be good in every community. That's not how it works. And Rahm Emanuel is an example for America on how not to run a city. And I hope he gets recalled. And I hope that it's a special set of circumstances in the city of Chicago. There's no question about it. And there's a lot of things that have got to be addressed. But the first thing, getting rid of the police chief isn't going to do it.
No.
It's getting rid of the snake at the head of the snake, I think, is what's going to happen. Let me ask you this, Mr. Ford. How many other legislators are with you on this? Is this going to be hard to drive through?
You know what? Right now, we have Representative Flowers as a chief co-sponsor and Jeannie Ives, a Republican, as a chief sponsor. She called yesterday and said, sign me up. I want to be a chief sponsor of your bill. And she's fired up about it because what we have is a clear cover-up in the city of Chicago for the Laquan. And when you see smoke, you know there's fire. And
well,
there's so much more.
Yeah, the Laquan McDonald shooting, that video, the dash cam video, was withheld from the public, and this is Rahm Emanuel's excuse for that.
Holding that video while we were protecting the integrity of the investigation, not compromising it, clearly built up distrust rather than built trust. One of the first things I said to Lori Lightfoot, the entire task force, is you have to look at a policy change.
What do you think of that, Mr.
I think that
Ford?
what he did was suppress the family's right to grieve, and that's what that money was. $5 million was suppressing the family's right to grieve. People need to, that was such a devastating case, and situation for the family, and they had to keep it within themselves because that's what the city told them.
Well,
Take this money
there's a view out there that the reason why he didn't make sure that video was released so he could he could get reelected, because if Chuy Garcia had gotten a hold of that video in his campaign, who knows what would have happened.
Well, we know he couldn't have won. With the civil unrest that we see now, with a call for a resignation and a call for a recall of the mayor, how could he? I mean, the business community is going to turn on him because the civil unrest is spilling over into the business district and people are losing money. They can no longer support a mayor that's lost control of the city and lost the confidence of the voters and the trust. How can he move on? I mean, it's like he said about his superintendent. You're no longer able to deal with the problem because you are the problem.
Mm-hmm.
Rahm Emanuel never should have been the mayor of the city of Chicago anyway. And for him to say he loves the city, that's a lie. Now, no matter what Mayor Daley did, I could say, whether I like him 100% or not, I could say that Mayor Daley loved the city of Chicago. And that's a fact. He may have sold some things out, but we do know that he knew every neighborhood.
Yeah.
And he took the time to learn every neighborhood. Rahm runs through neighborhoods, and he knows that there are certain neighborhoods that I could care less about.
Mm-hmm. Illinois State Representative LaShawn Ford. Mr. Ford, good to have you with us on Ed Schultz News and Commentary. We'll follow the story. Appreciate your work.
Well,
Thank
Ed,
you.
I have to call you my brother. You are the brother that everybody needs, and I appreciate you taking a stand.
Thank you, Mr.
Thank you.
Ford. Appreciate
All
it.
right.
Thanks so much.
Thank you.